First story of the night. I'm very excited to talk about this some more. Marvel Studios surprised fans with our first official glimpse at the upcoming Thunderbolts film by quietly dropping the teaser trailer Monday morning. The footage, set to the tune of Where Is My Mind by the Pixies, features Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova most heavily and is in keeping with descriptions that came out of both D23 and San Diego Comic-Con earlier this year, along with a few surprises. Much like Lewis Pullman's Disheveled Bob, this one has been in the can for quite some time. Did this teaser pack the punch we were hoping for?
Yes, 1,000 times yes. When I watched that trailer the first time, I was surprised that a trailer had dropped at all, because I think my phone got notified, like the notification came up on Twitter from like the Incredible Hulk feed. I don't know why that one was the one that notified me. And it was like, here's this, and it's a new trailer. And I was like, what? Hold on, you can't just do that, Marvel. And so
hey, they're dusting it off. They're like, what's the password to that thing again?
Yeah. So I watched it on my phone and was like, oh, like it's a full 3-minute trailer. Okay, cool. Put my phone down, pull it up on the computer that I was sitting in front of, like immediately watched it again. And just, it has blown my mind all of the times that I've watched it so far. Just like, I'm so excited for this because they feel like they're getting back to that hilarious yet amazing roots that like the Winter Soldier, Civil War, kind of the same feel as like the Black Widow movie, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like all of those feelings of like it's kind of grounded and it's kind of ridiculous with the superness, but also they are just funny people because of the situation. Like, oh, she's bulletproof-ish, like hilarious. Right. I love this trailer. Sorry, I don't want to steal too much of the floor.
Steal too much of the Thunderbolts, I think is what you meant there.
Oh, nice.
No, that's not what I meant.
We lost our Emmy.
Damn, you're already in first place. I mean, come on. Stop pouring it on.
Hey, we play by Quidditch rules here, Jay. So
okay, so I can still catch the snitch and win, even if I'm getting destroyed.
That's right. But similarly, I was really taken with this trailer. The Thunderbolts has been one of the projects I've been looking the most forward to. But as we noted in the description there, it's been through a little bit of development hell. So to finally get this first look, and it felt like such a confident first look, it is in keeping with everything we've heard. It really looks like Florence Pugh is going to be the main performer here, and Yelena is going to be the main character. So what really stuck out to me, though, is the conversation she was having with Alexi about like not feeling, fulfilled and feeling kind of lost and wandering and not really knowing how to find her purpose, and the way that was intercut with the interstitials of the other characters and kind of where they're at and what they're doing, particularly John Walker and Bucky. I think that's going to make for a really great movie. To your point, Jeff, we've got some really funny people in the mix here. Lewis Pullman's Bob, who is Sentry, looks like he's going to be the source of a lot of comedic relief. But with that song, Where Is My Mind, from the Pixies coming into play, my mind immediately went to Fight Club and the duality of the character in that movie. And knowing what I do know about the Sentry, I immediately went to, I think this is alluding to the dichotomy of that character. So one other thing I did notice is between the poster that we got alongside this trailer, which I love that poster, it seems like Taskmaster might not be playing that big a role. Just she was not in very much of the footage. She was the only character that was not demasked at some point. So we never saw Olga Kurylenko. And I'm curious. So I think we kind of went into this thinking that Red Guardian might be the sacrificial lamb or the big motivator for Yelena. And that's still on the table, but thinking that Yelena, Red Guardian, and Taskmaster all originated in that Black Widow movie, I think there's the potential that maybe Taskmaster eats it earlier, and then that just makes it hurt even worse when we, maybe lose more characters. But yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I think this trailer was a great first look and offered a lot to speculate about and get excited for.
Absolutely. I talked ad nauseum about the trailer. We did an hour coverage of the 2.5 minute trailer yesterday where we went frame by frame, so I won't go too deep into my thoughts except for to say I think it looks great, and I'm really, really intrigued by some of the twists and turns going on because of all the different characters coming from different places and who's going to end up on which side, and clearly they're building towards some sort of team here, even if it's not the the final form, because clearly the asterisk means something. I think we're gonna get a Falcon Winter Soldier style, Captain America and Winter Soldier. Like it's gonna be called something else later. I'm pumped for that. I'm really, really pumped for that. And it's something I've never seen a movie studio do, put an asterisk on a movie. That's just weird and cool. And like, I think based on how shifty the team looks, like who's working with who, I think like that asterisk means something. It's going to be fun. The only thing I do want to bring up from our frame by frame, and I'm going to spoil the big reveal that we figured out at the very end, the big like moment at the end of the trailer where you realize Bucky is hunting them.
Right.
Where he aims the gun and fires and their car blows up. Watch it frame by frame. He's aiming it at a Humvee. So it is not him. Those two shots do not go together. Like he is firing that little gun from Winter Soldier at a Humvee, not them. So I'm wondering not the Red Guardian jalopy. So I think it's the Humvee behind them chasing them, and he's actually destroying the Humvee. So I don't know what causes the car to blow up, but it's not that exact shot from Bucky. So I'm wondering if that's just a complete misdirect to make us think Bucky is after them, which was, I thought, the big surprise of the trailer. The very twist at the end is like, is that Bucky? Oh my gosh, the Winter Soldier's after us. Like, it doesn't look like it looks like that is that Bucky. Is that Bucky trying to save us instead of the opposite? Yeah. So I thought that's an interesting little misdirect that we did catch on the frame by frame, but that's on the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, Stranded Panda, check it out. We have the full trailer breakdown where we went frame by frame, but I'm excited about it. I love the trailer. Really pumped, like Jeff said, about this era.
It really looks like Val and them are in Avengers Tower at the end too.
They are.
I don't know if it'll end up being that. I'm sure you said that on the frame by frame, but it almost was a confirmation to me. Like it seemed that obvious. I'll be shocked if it's not, with just like how it was set up and the way that this kind of, Feige has talked about this. He's been asked about this. What happened to Avengers Tower, which we're going on multiple years of not having that question answered. And to get to the point where Feige is saying now in public, like, you are going to know the answer to this very soon. It just seems like that has to be it at this point. But I'm fascinated by what this movie is going to do when we're talking about the box office. Like when we're kind of moving away from the trailer and we're looking at like, what's the next step for Marvel here? We have talked a lot about the struggles that Marvel has had at the box office, but then at the same time, they're coming off an extremely strong performance with Deadpool and Wolverine at the box office. So clearly, like, there is interest in Marvel films. It just has to be maybe a particular type of character for Marvel films. Like Deadpool and Wolverine set itself apart. Maybe some of the other ones, there was things like strikes and COVID and all kinds of other things that we've talked about, but still that superhero fatigue and all that type of stuff has maybe kind of caught up to a couple of these more recent properties. But again, I think we're seeing this move towards like bigger tentpole movies in the lead up to Avengers. So you've got this one, you've got Captain America Brave New World, you've got Fantastic Four. These are like big movies, like with like big teams and like multiple characters. And I think as we are seeing these stepping stones leading up to Avengers, to me it feels very intentional because you have a lot of people, you have fans, and most people who listen to podcasts like this, they're fans. They've seen everything. You saw all the Disney Plus stuff. You know who Bucky is. You know who US Agent is. Like, you know who Ghost is and Taskmaster is. But you have to consider that like most people who saw Avengers, like the people who really got caught up in that cultural moment that was Avengers Endgame and some of the bigger ones since, like Deadpool and Spider-Man No Way Home and stuff like that, they haven't seen all those. So like you look at the box office numbers, and foreseeably you're going to have people that you're trying to get them into this movie because you need to start hooking some of these people back before Avengers Doomsday. They heard about the Downey stuff and like they're interested, but you got to get them into a couple movies first before they get to that point. And so a movie like this, they're going to see Bucky, they're going to recognize him, but foreseeably you're going to have a lot of people seeing this trailer. They don't know who Yelena is. They don't know who Red Guardian is. They don't know who Ghost is or Taskmaster or any of these people. And so you really have to like convince them with the trailer that even if you don't know the characters, this is something that you need to come see in the theater. Yep. And so I think that's just like a really interesting hurdle that Marvel has to jump here to try to like connect with an audience who has not seen everything. This is obviously going to connect with the audience who's seen everything, but the audience who hasn't seen everything, like how are they responding to this trailer? Because the trailer was good, but it doesn't really have a lot of action in it. I think it's just because it's early. This movie doesn't come out till May, so there's still a lot of work being done on it. So there wasn't a lot of action in it. It was not very action heavy. I think the next one will probably be more action heavy, like when we get more trailers down the road. But still, you want to start bringing those people in. You want them to come to Captain America. You want them to come to Thunderbolts. You want them to come to Fantastic Four. Like that, you don't just want to throw Avengers in their face like immediately. So I think like all that being said, again, Marvel's coming off an extremely strong performance with Deadpool and Wolverine. But to keep that momentum going, like that's something I'm going to be fascinated to see, and to see if they can really like cash in at the box office again. We can see these like bigger Marvel productions instead of maybe some of the struggles that they've had over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think the question the question and discussion that Yelena and Alexi were having in their intro part of the trailer or this teaser kind of really speaks to Marvel as a whole, like the MCU as a whole, where she says, I feel aimless, I feel like I've just been drifting, and the MCU as a whole has kind of felt like some threads are lost. Some things have
it's been
not
steadily great since Endgame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Where's White Vision? Where's he at?
Exactly. Like there are so many things that are just out there. There are so many things that are just out there, and like a lot of people probably feel that way. And it kind of feels like it's a meta commentary of like, okay, people like the Avengers, so let's get things back in Avengers Tower. And I think that the asterisk is going to be like Thunderbolts, but like it's Thunderbolts because it's Thunderbolt Ross's version of the Avengers. So it's like a new Avengers team. They're in Avengers Tower. They're government installed kind of thing, like Dark Avengers leading into Siege, if you know the comics, like and kind of going that route to kind of get that public facing team again. Because if you're somebody who hasn't watched since Endgame, like half of the Avengers, half of the OGs are dead or retired or old or whatever. Like they're not around, so like you need a new team, you need somebody new and public facing. The rest of us are just like, but what about all these characters? They're so much fun. And like Daredevil is not going to really take on an intergalactic threat like Thanos and like any of the things that Eternals have to deal with. But like I don't know that these new Avengers team will either. Like I don't know if they'll be able to handle it, but at least they'll be public facing so that people can feel, people in the world at least can feel good about it. So that's kind of that whole like, look, we have a new team. The old one kind of got disbanded sort of, but like new teams coming around, and like that might be able to hook people back in, especially with them being sort of a Guardians of the Galaxy sort of team where they're like, it's just a bunch of a-holes, like it's all people who have done bad crap.
Even the tagline of the film, which I love, it's "Be careful who you assemble." Just great.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a callback to Avengers, and it's ominous, and it's a good tagline. It really sets up the movie.
Interesting that you find it's ominous. I find it sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy style, like plucky.
Yeah, well, it's Marvel.
Like,
it's always going to have that sort of cheeky kind of,
like
thing to it.
These guys. One thing that I really wonder, I won't go too deep, like I said, but one thing we didn't talk about yesterday on the MCU cast was this. There's a moment in the trailer where they step off the elevator and they see Val, and then you see a pair of boots walking down that look like superhero boots, walking down the stairs at that same moment in the trailer, at least. And it appears that there's some sort of like meeting, and they're realizing what's going on. Like they're meeting the wizard. They're seeing what's been going on behind the scenes. Okay. And I, as Jay Scotty said, if you know the character of Sentry and what his deal is, I have a feeling I know what boots those were. Okay. And they're coming down the stairs, and You got Val there, and I feel like they're like stepping into this thing. And like you said, Jeff, they're not a team that looks like they can handle a big intergalactic threat. And it looks like they might be facing off with a pretty powerful threat in that very scene. And like, I think that might be the setup for the big finale, you know, or that might be the middle of the movie where they get their butts kicked and then they have to like regroup, you know. But I don't know. That just looked like a really epic stepping into Avengers Tower with Val in control and then some sort of super being walking down the stairs. I was like, that looks interesting. It looks really like a great scene.
I have a feeling that scene's probably going to be toward the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Like after the big fight and everything, where like, you know, now that you're a team, now that we've got you all together, here's your new digs, Avengers Tower. Yeah. And you need somebody to be the heavy hitter of the team. We've got this guy. And they're like, but that guy's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what we ended up talking a lot about on the podcast yesterday. And I'm sorry, I'm trying not to rehash too much, but was the idea that there's that scene where the heater comes on and they're stuck in that room. Yeah. And the idea is like, were they supposed to survive that? And was it like a trick to bond them? That's kind of one theory we were talking about. Or were they not supposed to survive that, and everything else they do is sort of like not part of the plan? You know, whatever Val's plan is, are they like, be careful who you assemble? She put this group together maybe to die. Maybe they were supposed to be the sacrifice that like, an American team of heroes that was protecting America clandestinely died in this battle. It was really just like a microwave they put them in, but like they died in this battle protecting America, and now we have to rally around our new Avengers or whatever. You know, were they the new Avengers, or were they the team that was supposed to die? You know, like I'm really curious about where that's going.
It's both. Yeah. I think it's both. She knows that, you know, some glues have to be heat activated, so you know. Yeah.
That's true. Some glues have to be heat activated. Good call. Yeah. They're a hot glue gun.
Well, the talk of the asterisk has generated a lot of conversation in the chat. I did want to shout out TV and Movie Guy, who said, how mad would people be if the asterisk meant nothing? And I got to say, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Furious. I don't think it'll mean nothing entirely, but I think we might be emphasizing a little bit too much about what the asterisk means. But I think the popular theory out there, which
screw that,
this is Kevin
obsessing over something Marvel. Us?
He put it out there.
Listen, it's in the freaking title of the movie. If we did not overemphasize it, it is in. There are like 8 letters in the title and a symbol. Like it's their fault if it's emphasized. And Kevin Feige was like, it does mean something, so it means something.
That's fair, but we as fans tend to overemphasize Kevin Feige's words. I think. But,
what?
Yeah, there is some cool speculation, like Matt, what you said about like going to the theater and like having a brand new title revealed there. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. That would be such a novel experience. But I think the popular theory out there is that it is the Dark Avengers. To your point there, Jeff. But one thing you said about like the Thunderbolts and connecting it to Thunderbolt Ross that did bring to mind, and Jay, you mentioned it. We do have another movie that we're going to get before Thunderbolts, and that is Brave New World. And we've been told that Bucky's not going to appear in that movie. And when we first got that news, it was like a punch to the gut for me. It was like, how are you not going to have Bucky in Sam's Cat movie? Like, how is that going to be? But I think there is a really good opportunity for connectivity in post-credit scenes. Like we're talking about, how can we generate that conversation? How can we get people excited by May? I think even if not everybody turns out for Brave New World, if it ends up being better than people think and you have that post-credit scene, like I'm holding out hope. Again, I always have these hopes and expectations with the caveat that it will not impact my reception to what is actually delivered. But how cool would it be to get a post-credit scene with Bucky or even Zemo? Because like that's the other element here. We haven't seen him in any of the marketing. He's not on the cast list, Daniel Bruhl's Zemo. But the fact that these two movies feel like so much of a follow-up to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and knowing Zemo's connection to the Thunderbolts in the comics and the Dark Avengers for that matter, I would love it.
Well, that's what we got to do with the post-credit scene, too. Like, the post-credit scene used to be an art of, like, you're setting up the next movie, and then they've become, like, what we've talked about, where they're shooting off loose threads that are never getting fulfilled. So, like, think about all of the post-credit scenes that we've had that have led nowhere, and I think that's kind of been the the commentary on the post-credit scene lately. Is it's like, think about the post-credit scene in Shang-Chi, like think about the post-credit scene. I mean, it's just like you start adding them up and you're like, these have not been revisited at all. So I think if you're looking at that, you need to go back to that formula of like, how do we just set up the next thing? Like, let's not overthink this. Let's not try to like pitch movie 2 or whatever and put the cart before the horse. Like, let's put a post-credit scene in that gets people excited about the next thing. And then that's all you need to do. You don't need to throw another loose thread into this universe, which has got 25 loose threads at this point.
This tapestry's real messy right now. A lot of tassels hanging off the edges.
It's so perfect too, because you have Falcon and Winter Soldier, where Cap and Bucky work together. And then you have a Cap movie where he's dealing with Thunderbolt Ross having some sort of initiative that we have talked a ton about, the possibility of it being a superhero initiative of some type. And he even in the trailer talks to Cap about making him an official position within the government again.
Right.
So like you've got all of that, and then you've got the next movie, Thunderbolts, where Bucky is running around. What you need is Sam Wilson going in the post-credit sequence and dropping a dossier on Bucky's desk or whatever and being like, listen, there's something going on. I only scratched the surface in my movie. Please take it to your movie.
Yeah, just do what you did. Do what you did in Black Widow, like where Yelena is at her grave and she sees the picture of Hawkeye and is like, I'm gonna go get him. Like that was it. Handed it off to the next time we saw her. You know, like just keep it simple.
We're always talking about where they've done connectivity, right? And I forget about that one. We talk about the whole like phase 4 and phase 5, and there's not a lot of connectivity. That was a really good one. That was a very classic Marvel one.
Yeah.
Okay, we probably need to move on.
Nah, the whole thing is Marvel related now.
Yeah. If you guys want to hear more of that Marvel talk, go check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast from this week. We do a frame by frame. We do a frame by frame.
Hey, doo-doo.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna do.
We do a frame by frame look at it, and it was a lot of fun. Me and Ashley Coffin. So check that out.